Good afternoon, everybody. Hail Satan. A glitch. Get them back and forth sometimes. So I'm doing my Sinful Sunday broadcast today on Memorial Monday. This is a tribute to High Priestess Jinx Dawson and to all of the satanic history that went on back in the 60s. A lot of that today is part of what satanic history that a lot of people here in America, per se, and other parts of the world probably don't know a whole lot about. But there was a big occult explosion that occurred here in the United States at that time. And I lived through it, so I know. And I was a young Brotherhood Satanist at the time. So once again, this is a voice of experience sharing this video with you. And kudos to High Priestess Jinx Dawson. She's still out there today doing it. She's live. She's doing concerts with a lot of the metal bands. And if you know Jinx, her concerts are ritual on stage. And needless to say, that women and magic are not separated from each other. Magic and satanic magic and the things she learned from her family and the things she developed from her own knowledge and her own practice, has made her the high priestess she is today. She's a legend. High Priestess Jinx is a legend in her time. And thanks, Satan, she's still around today. Great lady, personal friend, a great sister of Satan. We all will find our niche in Satanism, my friends, just like High Priestess Jinx has done, just like our High Priest Druidian Pendragon myself has done throughout my whole life. I made my whole life path Satanism. I live my satanic craft. It's very important to do that. And in living my satanic craft my whole life, I have so many experiences I can be sharing with people that are from the generational perspective, especially. Well, let's get back to this. Here's what we're going to talk about today. And this is a tribute to High Priestess Jinx Dawson, as I said. But today we're going to be talking about my little black book here. It says all the different things that come to me from the demons to be talking about and sharing with everybody. And today we're talking about the true sign of the horns, the Cornu, and the evil eye. Wow. Yeah. And Drew's always going to be the one who's a bit controversial because my subject matter is always going to be something real, something authentic. Okay, that's the Brotherhood way. That's Drew's way. And it should be the way of any real, true and theistic Satanist today. But let's get started. Okay. I wrote a treatise called The True Sign of the Horns over 15 years ago. All right. Over 15 years ago. Some of the Satanists that I know today online, not the offline faction that I have a huge network of, but the online faction, many of them today, don't even know this history, like I said. And so it's important that we present things from the historical satanic organization, the Brotherhood. And this is real experiences, things that went on at the time. Okay, here we go. I start out with a paragraph that I wrote also, besides the article, right, the trustees. But I began the paragraph, I began this video in the beginning of the trustees with these words in this statement. I must stand strong on the issue that the Church of Satan was not the first Church of Satan, nor was it the first or oldest, like the Brotherhood, satanic organization. The actual sign of the horns was always a satanic Brotherhood sign or mode of recognition between members of the Shadow Brotherhood. Now, throughout our history, because of persecution, we developed ways satanic witches developed ways of knowing each other. Knowing each other. Okay. And we have modes of recognition, hand signs, something, and we even have to actually have passwords and stuff that we could say also. But for the most part, we're using signs today in today's history, right? So we have modes of recognition, right? Now in the Freemasons, we say we have modes of recognition, whereas one brother may know another in the dark as well as in the light. I mean, if you're blindfolded or you were blind, you couldn't see, there are still ways of understanding our modes of recognition, right? And we would give those to the right people, and they would know by the handshake if they were blind even. Okay. So that's what the true sign of the horns really was. Let me continue. Yes, I can remember it like it was yesterday. And this is the truth about Drew. I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was 1966. And they called it the year one, Anno Satanas. It was not the year one, however. Anton LaVey decided to change the name of the occult gathering that he held at the Black House, where the original Church of Satan housed itself later, that had been formerly called the Black Circle. Dr. LaVey at that time was considered to be another of many dark occultists that was directly influenced by what author Nate Freeland called the occult explosion in his book about the rise of occultism here in the United States. At that time, this included Satanism, ceremonial occultism, witchcraft, paganism, as well as a number of other dark arts such as vampirism, lycanthropy, voodoo, shamanism, secret societies such as the Freemasons, Rosicrucians, Knights Templar, Illuminati, and a host of others, including the Kabbalistic orders and those practicing Jewish mysticism. Of course, Dr. LaVey was hugely mistaken in the year one Anno Satanas concept, because we know that a secretive satanic organization existed long before any public formation of the Church of Satan was proclaimed or founded. The secretive satanic organization has a name that's more or less infamous during the times on the Earth's cycles. We deem this as the time when we are needed to resurface the most in the history of our Earth. We are called the Brotherhood of Darkness and Shadows, or more simply, the Brotherhood. Our organization is still, as it was back then, the most highly of the secretive satanic entities. We now have again resurfaced with a message of hope for all true Satanists that are not pleased with what we have been presently seeing, and for many years before now, in what has come to be called the satanic movement or community. In short, there's not been a real satanic community before now, and it's because the Brotherhood of Satan, the new Brotherhood generation, is stepping up to the plate and very adamantly stating, we're tired of all the occult disinformation that's been circulating around concerning Satanism and the dark arts. The Brotherhood of Satan is now the very vehicle for satanic unity and a real satanic community. We're proving every day that this unity can and does exist, contrary to the opinion of the Church of Satan. Remember wisely, it was Dr. LaVey that self-proclaimed himself as the high priest of Satan and founded Satanism in his above-ground garden variety or brand. What I'm getting at here is this. While I can agree that before this time in the history of the United States, Satanism remained the underground secret society it always was, I'll understand that statement. I must stand strong on the issue that the Church of Satan was not the first Church of Satan, nor was it the first or oldest like the Brotherhood Satanic Organization. Truth is that it was the first above-ground version of Satanism as expounded and dictated by Dr. LaVey, or should we use his real name of Harold LaVey? Harold Levy. The American culture at this time in American history was going through an interesting time of change I know I lived it. The Vietnam War was going on. Young people were rebelling against the establishment or Big Brother, and the drug culture was beginning to blossom. During this time in America, we experienced a direct spiritual awareness about the falsehoods that organized religion was trying to cram down everyone's throats. Mariah and its secretive Brotherhood Satanic organization was directly active in the very occult revival we experienced here in the United States. This was still done in the utmost of behind-the-scenes secret measure, as always has been the way of the Brotherhood. This is relevant to what I'm now going to reveal about the true sign of the horns. You can read the Satanic Bible as authored by Dr. LaVey, and there are many things in it that have not been properly explained. This may be because at that time things were different than they are now as far as the dark occult goes. Things to do with the dark arts were simply kept more closed-mouthed then. Now, what the Brotherhood calls a real new age of Satan. Dr. LaVey knew a great many Satanists that actually did really believe in Satan as being a dark entity and not just a symbolic ideal. These Satanists would often not speak of being sworn to secrecy by the Brotherhood of this fact in the public eye. In fact, many did not use the name Satanist or Satan in the limelight ever. But nonetheless, Dr. LaVey knew a great many of us, as the Dark Brotherhood has always observed the activities of Dr. LaVey and the early COS. Many of the Brotherhood Satanists that knew Dr. LaVey or LaVey himself knew were Brotherhood generational Satanists that were involved directly in both the film and entertainment industry. Some of the Brotherhood Satanists were mildly amused with Dr. LaVey's brand of Satanism, while others were just plain disgusted by it as they followed their own ancient landmark with strong conviction, which was that secrecy is paramount to the very protection of Satanists and the other dark arts practitioners. You will take special note to what I say to you. You will read in the very words of Dr. LaVey in the Satanic Bible. Although he was way ahead of his time in stating it, he was not really authorized by the Brotherhood to do so. Where he states these words, the sign of the horns is appearing to many now than before. Stand up to be recognized. Wow. Read between the lines here on that statement for me for a minute. The actual sign of the horns was and always is a Satanic Brotherhood sign or mode of recognition between members of the Shadow Brotherhood. It's apparent Dr. LaVey had to know something about the secretive Brotherhood generational Satanism and our movement. This sign was only used in its secretive measure by members of Satanic generational families, up to the point it was first shown public on stage by the band Coven in 1968. The lead singer, and I'm proud to say personal friend of mine, Jinx Dawson, was the very first to show this sign on stage. This was before Ronnie James Dio or Black Sabbath or the Rolling Stones ever used a corrupted version of the sign. All this can be collaborated, both by myself and the musician and lead guitarist Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin. Now let's move another step closer to the satanic truth about the true sign of the horns. Take notice on the very back cover of the Satanic Bible that you see a picture of Dr. LaVey with one arm over the other, and his left hand is showing what? Yes, he's showing the sign of the horns in the true generational Brotherhood of Satan form. What's up with that? He's acknowledging, for those that knew, that the Brotherhood sign of the horns was destined to become the most important sign of recognition between the true children of darkness, as was ordained a great many years before any public formation of the Church of Satan. You will certainly see many forms of the sign being shown in both the private and public sector, but in reality there is only one true form to show the sign in its accurate portrayal, and this has only just been recently revealed again to those that know and understand. Again, I will correctly state it was Coven and High Priestess Jinx Dawson that showed this sign first in the public in 1968 on stage, and she, like myself, learned it from our families before that. So to those that may want to dispute this, you've got no leg to stand on. The true fact about the importance of the true sign of the horns was not meant to be understood back in the 1960s, but rather is meant to be presented in its proper form and usage here and now, and what the Brotherhood calls, and this is in the most enlightened sense, the beginning of the true, real age of Satan. This is the time that Satan has ordained for thousands of Satanists to emerge from the shadows of the underworld of darkness and to reclaim our earth after several thousand years of repression of the human nature by the false and truly evil Christian religion. Wow. Some powerful words. And yes, it's a message of hope. Let's unite under the true sign of the horns, understanding that we are each individuals that are wise enough to stand in unity and in strength against those without. By sharing our satanic craft and knowledge, it reflects the true greatness of the Satanist that is measured by actions and deeds instead of lip service. In short, the true sign of the horns to every Satanist represents our acknowledgement of the following concept and ideal that is of the utmost importance to us each living here and now in these times. We won't wait any longer. We're stronger than before. May those words ride out on the winds of change to fulfill the satanic destiny of all real and genuine Satanists. I echo these words of Dr. LeVay with great conviction, with much more meaning than in our past. The true sign of the horns is indeed appearing to many. Stand for it to be recognized. Many are called, but the few with understanding are chosen. I charge you all to know it's time to come home. That, my friends, is a condensed version of the true sign of the horns written over 15 years ago. Now, let's Drew and my people watching my video here get involved in some better further things in relation to the subject matter of the true sign of the horns. So let's talk about the Cornu, right? As I said earlier, the Cornu actually defines as a horn shape, right? Okay. And most people feel that the Cornu, is the sign of the horns that you generally see out there at rock concerts. A lot of people display it as like this. 2 fingers down in the middle, the horns up, and a thumb across it, right? And you'll see that sign all over the place. You'll see it with either hand, right? With either hand. And that's cool. That's horns up for rock and roll. That's not the Brotherhood Cornu, which is this. And let me show you again. Okay. Now here you see the horns are up, but you see the nose of the goat or the ram is pointing downwards just slightly. That's the true sign of the horns. This is a Brotherhood mode of recognition, my friends. Now, we're not afraid to show this mode of recognition for one reason. There's other things we know and things we could say to somebody and ask somebody to know if they're really Brotherhood, if they try to show the real sign of the horns and they're really not Brotherhood, right? We can read that too. Count on it. Me, a generational Satanist, 66 years now. Definitely, I know I'm going to know. Okay. But back to what we were talking about. So that's the Cornu, right? That's that horned hand sign. Now, there's another version of the Cornu, which is from Strega, um, which is an Italian version or tradition, excuse me, of witchcraft, right? And you'll see the Cornu as being presented as what you would call the Italian horn. It's just a horn, one long horn. It's also called a Cornu, by the way. Remember, Cornu defines as a horn shape, right? There you go. All right. And like I said, a lot of fake versions of the sign of the horns. Yes, they're still satanic. Yes, they're still rock on, you know, and all that, and that's a good thing. But it's not really the actual generational sign. Okay. Which is a mode of recognition, as I stated. Now let me get into something that's even cooler to talk about because most people don't know this. Okay. Now there's a lot of versions of what people will call the evil eye. And in Satanism and the dark arts, we're all very familiar with that term, the evil eye. Okay. And the evil eye is actually practiced when you're doing a destruction spell or destruction ritual, it would be applied, that evil eye. But there's a way to do the evil eye. And a lot of times, Brotherhood Satanists might give that evil eye to somebody well before they get back with their covenant or in their individual satanic sanctum to do a ritual. They may already put the evil eye on somebody, right? Okay, let's just say it that way by Jewish standards. We might have already put the evil eye on somebody. And that would happen actually in real life, right? Not online. It would be happening offline situations where you're running somebody. So there's a way to actually present the evil eye. And when you place the evil eye on somebody, realize something. You can't take back the evil eye. Nope. And all generational Satanists know, don't put the evil eye on somebody that doesn't deserve the evil eye. Okay. But where does this connect in with what Drew's saying about the sign of the horns or the Cornu? What's that got to do with the evil eye? That's where Drew likes to have meat on the bone for people. Okay. It has everything to do with the Cornu. Because there's a way that you put the evil eye on somebody. There you go. Okay. And the way you put the evil eye on somebody is a point. It's not the point like I got a lot in high school. Which, that kind of stuff. I went through it too, like most of my ancestors, right? Okay. It's not like that. Because what you're doing when you're casting evil eyes, you're using the Cornu. It's always, the evil eye is always done with the left hand, right? Representing and symbolizing our left hand path. That's how it's done. But the evil eye, it's not directed from the top pointed, your top index finger, your forefinger, your first finger on your hand, left hand, like people would think. No, it's this little finger on the left side of the Cornu that casts the evil eye. Okay. And when you're doing that evil eye, I'm going to do it this direction, right? Because I'm not trying to cast it on anybody. You're doing it like this. But this is what you're concentrating all of your direction, all of your anger, all your hatred, everything that you can drop on their asses, drop a house on them, whatever. Okay. And you may have to do that in a public situation where somebody's really been fucking with you. And you don't want to get in a fist fight with people and go to jail for battery charges or whatever, right, for fighting. They can't do a damn thing to you, except maybe get freaked out, a little bit and scream and yell and cry or whatever, right? When you cast the evil eye on them instead. There you go. Oh, boy. It unnerves them, too. It definitely unnerves them. And more so if they happen to see that you're wearing a satanic Baphomet or whatever, if you're out in public, perhaps, right? Okay. But the evil eye is used, but you use the Cornu in the evil eye. This is the Brotherhood way. My grandmother and grandfather showed me this actually. And my parents showed it to me later on. Okay. Um, and it's the little finger on the left cornu. Left hand cornu. It's that little finger that you're okay, so I'm pointing towards the Baphomet right now, right? But I'd be casting my evil eye. You want to go all the way down from your eye, look all the way down your arm. And that's the focal point, is that point on the end of your left horn. That's casting the evil eye. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there, guys. There's hundreds of books on the occult. You're not going to find this kind of stuff. You're not going to find it because it was retained in repositories of our own generational satanic families who had no interest in being public, like Anton LaVey and the Church of Satan did. Okay. Now we're out here representing. And sometimes I wish they might have let the Brotherhood be a lot more public back in the day. Now, where we were public was, particularly in California, but where we were public really was in the occult world itself. That's where you'd find us, right? But that wasn't really public because, again, you had the general public, right? And then you had people that were interested in the occult. Two separate factions of people, totally. But where did you find the Brotherhood back then? Amongst those true occultists, the ones that resided in the underworld of darkness and the left-hand path. Absolutely. So, my friends, I hope you've enjoyed this little discussion that Drew did today. It is a Ministry of Infernal Affairs discussion, done solely by me as the Devil's Advocate and as the Minister of Infernal Affairs on behalf of the Brotherhood of Darkness. Now, I'm so happy that the Brotherhood of Darkness is now allowing me to be able to share a lot more of our own secret usages, okay, and secret things that normally we didn't show people. Oh, but we're going to be doing a lot of it, okay, a lot of it. We have to still retain those secrecy, foundational points, though, our foundational cornerstones, I'll say. And you have to keep that because we have been persecuted, No, I was lucky that, when I was young, I didn't get that evil eye cast on me, but I did go through the persecution of having them look down their fucking finger at me and point and say witch and all that crap. Okay. And while I knew the usage of the evil eye, when I had to do a destruction ritual back at the time, during the actual time that I was learning the evil eye and stuff from my own family, I had to go up against a black magician who had already cursed me. Now, I never got to see the person in person before I had to defend myself, right? But needless to say, after I defended myself, he was no longer in the land of the living. Not very long later, either. It was really fast, guys. Matter of days. I didn't have to cast the evil eye. So don't think all Satanists have to put the evil eye on something, And if you do, though, it has to be done in person. Remember that. It has to be done physically and in person. Out there in the real world, not the online cyber world, The Brotherhood loves the cyber world. We can do so much with it. And now we're being able to share our knowledge, Again, the Brotherhood has no interest in competing with people. We know how long we've been around. We know how many ancient landmarks we follow and the things that were taught to us in our families. And now it's a rare historical moment. That's why I say it's a message of hope. This is a rare historical moment that the Brotherhood's out, that put me and Raven out here 25, 24 years ago now. It's a historical moment because the way to satanic unity is the usage of the Brotherhood's foundational principles of respect amongst each other. Now, I watch over and over about solitary Satanists saying, we got to be solitary first and don't ever forget that, blah, blah, blah. No Satanist is going to forget that, guys. But we do, and I don't care who you are, if you're on the internet especially, okay, we do have an inner black flame. That inner black flame connects with our own mind, our psyche, right? Our conscious and unconscious mind. And when it connects to it, it tells us, why would we even be on the internet? We're on the internet to socialize and to interact and network with others of like mind. Okay, so if we're going to be out there as Satanists, declaring solitary Satanism is the most important, no, take that away for a second and say, this, individualism as a Satanist is more important. Take that solitary word out of there. If you're on the wide world web, hobnobbing with other Satanists, you're in the one world community, my friends. In the word community is unity. Okay. Is there a real need for satanic unity today? A real satanic community? Absolutely. And this is what Drew's saying is the message of hope. We can still be the strong individual Satanists that have our own sovereignty and still work well with others and gain knowledge from one another. You know what we need to be doing? Encouraging each other, not discouraging each other. And when you have a friend in the occult, your occult network and your satanic network, my friends, you have a friend that's out there doing something legitimate for Satan and for the left-hand path, and they've written a book that's fantastic. Be there for them and support them. Even buy the book if you can afford it. This is the kind of thing Satan knows we need to be doing. Satanic networking. Now, I'm going to tell you something. If you have a group of people that can't even get along together, period, in their everyday lives offline, then they go online, wow, you're not going to get them to organize and work well with others because they've already gotten their basic nature that they couldn't. They don't already. Okay. And nothing wrong with being the lone wolf. Let me describe myself to you. I'm with a lot of Satanists, okay? And over my 66 years of being a Satanist, I can't tell you how many Satanists I've met. Thousands, though. Okay, thousands. And people you would never, this is Brotherhood Satanism I'm talking about now, Brotherhood of Darkness particularly. And I've met people that you would never in your everyday life ever been able to meet. Yeah, I moved up to do that. I did the work it took. I was a real disciple of Satan. Someone that disciplined himself for Satan. And then I earned it. Okay. But back to the true sign of the horns. It's a message of hope. Could there be a satanic community? Could there be unity amongst Satanists? Yes, absolutely. And what we need is the vehicle for that. Nothing wrong with having all these autonomous covens of Satanists, or whatever they want to call themselves, a monastery, a chapel, a grotto, whatever, right? Or a coven. Nothing absolutely wrong with us coming together and still retaining sovereignty. This is the message of hope Drew's telling you. We got to honor satanic philosophy, so we're going to be championing individualism first and foremost. Drew does this all the time. Yes, I'm a Brotherhood Satanist, been one my whole life. But I'm championing the right stuff. And what I champion is a unity amongst all Satanists. By respect. By respect. There's the message of hope. It is a new age of Satan. Are we enlightened enough to know it? To live it? And to be part of it? Are we the kind of Satanists that can say, mine is not to just walk the path, but to be the path? Can we, as individual Satanists, know our own goddesshood and godhood, and then stand strong and confident in your own self, and then stand in other circles with other people of like mind? But being totally sovereign, there's the message of hope. There's the message of hope. It breaks back down to one thing. What kind of Satanist do we want to be? An ignorant Satanist or an intelligent Satanist? You decide. I've made my decision, and Satan and the demons ride with me. Enjoy your Memorial Day today, everybody, and understand the true sign of the horns, that it is a real message of hope. Those with the voice of experience can teach much. There are satanic elders out there that can teach you guys a lot of stuff. We don't want to rule over anybody. We want to stand next to everybody. Even myself, I call myself a way shower. And yes, I'm a satanic leader. And yes, I'm damn proud I'm a satanic leader. The fires of hell and brimstone forged me to be. I was forged on the anvil of Tubal Cain by fire. Walk with me. Be a Satanist of note. Be someone that understands. Be someone that always expounds satanic knowledge and wisdom. You can't expound satanic knowledge and wisdom without having satanic knowledge and wisdom, right? So you gain the knowledge, then have the wisdom to know when and how to use the knowledge. I charge you all under the true sign of the horns that it's time to stand up and be recognized. But you will only be recognized by your sisters and brothers because of your actions and deeds. Never lip service. We're real Satanists. We see what people do by their actions and their deeds. Nothing wrong with organizing, my friends. I am a Brotherhood organizer. No one follows the leader. We all know the direction. We all travel the direction together. Welcome to the infernal age of Satan. Its age is for you. This age is for you. So ab majore Santane gloriam, to the greater glory of Satan, always. And don't forget to hail Satan first, and then hail yourself as a Satanist, the highest embodiment of humanity that walks this earth. Now, next week's Sinful Sunday broadcast will again be on Sunday, not Monday like today. Is going to be really, really cool as well. So my kudos to High Priestess Jinx Dawson. You know, like I said, she's a legend in her time, guys. She's a legend already. She always was to me. And facts are facts when it comes to real satanic history. So hail High Priestess Jinx. Hail those with wisdom and understanding to know that this is time. This is now the time. For this is the age of Satan. So mote it be.